In today's video, we will be taking a look at the strange behaviors that narcissists display. In this, I'll list 12 bizarre behaviors along with some of my own personal experiences. I'm Deanna King, for those who don't know me, and this channel is All Talk Narcissism, Codependency, and little nuggets of advice towards your own healing. So the first one that I want to mention is the one everyone is talking about these days, and that one is walking in front of you. Narcissists, they want to show you that you are less than. So by walking in front of you, they're letting you know this. They get to see themselves as domineering, where you're submissive in their eyes. It's a control tactic, and it's to make you feel small. It's always about making you feel small with them. Sometimes, though, it's to ensure that they look single in case someone attractive is in the area. But then if you decide that you aren't going to play that game and turn left at the next corner to walk away from them completely, there's going to be hell to pay. And why? It wasn't like they were walking with you, right? And then if you're with a friend, they'll walk with them, leaving you behind. I have 3 experiences with this walking behind game. For me, of all things that I want to do in a relationship is go for walks. I call them my walks and talks. There's something magical for me in walking together, enjoying sights and the sun and talking. And this last narcissist in my life, he knew that all too well. And from the very beginning of our relationship, he wouldn't spend any time with me whatsoever, let alone take a walk. So I kept asking for walks, but it never happened. He always had some kind of excuse to not go. But all of a sudden, one day, he comes out of the office and blurts out, "Come on, let's go for a walk. You say you always want to go for walks. Let's go." It was minus 12 degrees in February and blizzard weather to boot. He was laughing at me. Pretty insulting and pretty cruel. The second time he offered to go for a walk was the following summer. He walked over to me and said, "I'll go for a walk with you if you keep that dress on." And I had a tight, short summer dress on. It had nothing to do with pleasing me, but all to do with making him look good. The third experience wasn't about taking a walk per se, but still the same thing. Every time we went to get groceries, I would have the list, of course. I'm the one who always takes responsibilities. That's what we do, right? It's not like they'd be bothered to see what was needed in the house. But anyway, I'd start at the beginning of the aisles, grabbing the fruits and the vegetables, and the next thing you know, he'd be off with the cart, looking at whatever stuff that he wanted to look at as I chase him down with all these groceries in my arms, trying hard to keep the food from falling. It was ridiculous. So one time I found him in the 4th aisle down, and this time, rather than chase him down, I yelled out his name. Wow, he wasn't happy with that one. He walked down the aisle towards me, got right in my face and said, "Don't you ever do that again." Zero thought for what he had done. Meanwhile, my arms were loaded with veggies, meat, cheese, and apples falling out. These people are sadistic, and they leave you feeling confused because of how they go from hot to cold and back to hot again and back to cold again. Until you get off that train, you're not going to know how fast it was moving. Sometimes it can take years to find out who someone truly is. So once you do, though, don't go back to sleep. The fact that deep down or at their core, they're nice people is an illusion. And that's why it takes radical acceptance for victims to move forward. This isn't a couple's relationship that you're in. This is a work relationship. You're an employee who isn't getting paid. One of the other awkward behaviors with these characters is their bluntness. They are blunt to the core with no regard as to how it leaves others feeling. I met this woman at a meeting once who had taken her new boyfriend into her home. She had very little money and he never really pitched in. Feeding him was taking a toll on her already meek finances, and at one point she needed a pair of sandals to get through the summer. So she had found a pair on sale, but by the time her paycheck was to arrive, her next paycheck, the sale would be over. So she asked him if she could borrow a few dollars until payday. And this was extremely hard for her to do because I met her in this codependency meeting. So as codependents, it's hard for us to ask for anything, right? And she also had this pride issue. So when the day came to ask, she stepped through her fear and asked, but she got a flat out no. He said, no, I'm not comfortable with that. End of story. Yet she's feeding this idiot. And when she told us this story, what she said was that when he said no like that, all she felt was this overwhelming shame inside of her. So sad. They're horrible people. They might walk off while you're in the middle of a conversation and tell you that they aren't interested. They'll blurt out things so coldly. Like, for example, you might be wondering why one of their friends doesn't seem to talk to you much. And they'll blurt out something like, they don't like you. Another odd behavior often found with them is a lot of them steal. They'll take something that belongs to you and then they'll give it to someone else to impress another, to get supply. And often you think it's something that you've just misplaced, but pay attention to those little things that go missing. And sometimes they'll just do it to gaslight you. The fourth one that I want to mention is their forgetfulness. And believe me, that is a game that they play. You'll ask them to pick something up on their way home just as they're on their way home, and they'll come home empty-handed. They forgot. Or they're going to the grocery store, and so you literally write a list of the things that you wanted so that this time they won't forget. But somehow they forgot the list in the vehicle. You can't get upset about it because they'll get into a fight with you and yell at you. They'll put you on a guilt trip for making them feel bad for forgetting. It's not my fault, I forgot. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. This is done to show you that you don't matter. It's more emotional abuse. Number 5, they are oppositional. Whatever you say, they say the opposite. Whatever you believe, they believe the opposite. They want to ruin the mood of another. It's vindictive. They just don't want anyone to sound interesting, look smart, be acknowledged, or be the center of attention. They'll say no just for the sake of saying no, like the woman in the shoes that I just talked about. They are these combative people filled with vengeance in their hearts. The 6th one is the tantrums. Narcissists often display these strange tantrums when things don't go their way, when they can't seem to control the situation. And when I say tantrums, I mean full-grown adults literally jumping up and down, screaming in a fit of rage, just like you'd see in a 3-year-old. It's quite a sight to see. Number 7, they're always and just trying to help. The narcissist will somehow create some kind of chaos, then turn around and tell you that they're just trying to help. For example, and I use this one a lot in my videos, you'll want to be doing some work in your house, and a house that you own, you alone, but they move in and somehow they think that they suddenly have ownership over your house here. So you decide to paint a room of yours, and they'll walk in and get you all riled up, telling you to move over because you won't do it right. And that puts a damper on your mood because you were so looking forward to blasting your music and enjoying redoing your room. So here they are, they'll move around doing this work, and it's a real inconvenience for them. They'll make sure that you know that. And here you are biting your tongue because you know how they get. But inside, you went from having a fun and hopeful day to a dark, miserable day, leaving you frustrated. And now as though that weren't enough, they won't finish the job. And how dare you try to finish it? Because you're too stupid. So now 3 days go by where you're still in an unfinished mess, where had it been you, you would have had that job done in 1 day and you'd be enjoying a newly decorated room. But instead, you're living in chaos. So you finally say something because you can no longer take it. And now World War III has now been declared. They are now the poor victim who was only trying to help. Can't you see that? And they really do a good job in looking all innocent in this, while they knowingly created the chaos to begin with. They need to create chaos all the time. They thrive on chaos because inside of them, they feel nothing. They're empty shells. They need to feel praised and acknowledged at all times. And if they can't find a way to get that feeling, they'll move to chaos in order to feel something. Everything with them is about external referencing. The eighth one that I want to mention is how they're concerned about you. And this is a huge one that they'll use on their friends, your friends, and your family. They'll often use it from the very beginning of the relationship. They know that there's going to be a time limit on the relationship, and they want to ensure that they come out smelling like roses when that time comes. So they'll make you look unhinged from the very beginning. And they'll also say it to you. During arguments that they've provoked, for example, they might have you go through hours and hours of circular conversations while you're trying so hard to bring this conversation to clarity and come to a place of peace and love and understanding. And at one point, after going through insults after insult and hurtful comments being spewed at you with this conversation, going nowhere, you break. You either end up yelling or you crumble to the ground in tears, shaking, at which point they'll tell you that they're really concerned about you and that you need help. Any of this sounding familiar? Please do leave a comment below. I'd like to hear those stories. Number 9, they see everything as a trade-off. Everything with them is an exchange. There isn't anything done just for the sake of being human. The grocery guy story I told you about in the beginning, the first month that this narcissist had moved in, he was driving my vehicle since he didn't have one. He would always use my vehicle to get groceries, but never ask me if I needed anything. So one day I told him I was going to the supermarket, and he says, well, I was going to go. Why don't I go? And then you can go after. Talk about balls, right? This is my vehicle. Anyway, I said to him, since we're a couple, shouldn't we be doing the groceries together? And so he paused for a moment, thought about it, then said, makes sense. Then a couple of seconds later, he looks at me and says, so what are you going to do for me in exchange? My face fell. Number 10, gift giving. Every gift you'll receive from them is a thoughtless gift. Actually, it isn't thoughtless, though. They've gone through great measures to ensure that you feel bad, so they've thought about it. So it isn't a thoughtless gift. It's actually a heartless gift. Sometimes it's 0 gifts. You'll make sure to make them feel loved and special on their birthdays, but when it comes to yours, you get nothing, not even a card. And when I say nothing, they won't even say happy birthday. Everyone is calling you to wish you a happy birthday, or they're stopping by. So it isn't that they forgot here. They'll continue to not even say those 2 simple words. And this is just to hurt you. And why? Just because. If they do give you a gift, often it's a gift for them, something that they want. They'll present you with it, then borrow it, and you'll never see it again. Or they'll give you a gift to be cruel. For example, if you're on a diet or trying to lose weight, they'll buy you a cake and give you chocolates. If you're trying to quit drinking or you don't drink at all, they'll give you a bottle of wine. I even had a client once who received an extra small shirt for her birthday when she was obviously a large size. She felt so devastated. And then you have some narcissists that will give things that are so meaningless, like socks and underwear, just to make you feel unimportant. And yet you can't say that they didn't get you anything, right? Number 11, they'll make you feel that you're bothering them. They want to embarrass you, to make you feel small if you try to talk to them while they're online, for example. And narcissists are often spending their evenings on social media ignoring their partners. So sometimes the victim will feel lonely and try to go sit with the narcissist, hoping to spend some quality time. But the narcissist, they're just going to stop typing or whatever they were doing or reading, for example, and stare blankly at their screens, waiting for you to leave so that they can get back to doing whatever it was that they were doing. They're giving you a clear message that you're in the way. And so you end up walking away feeling uneasy and in the way because you were in the way. They are so rude. And the last one is number 12. They never answer your question. They'll either literally ignore you, which is pretty darn rude, and have a stern look on their face to ensure that you don't ask again, or they'll be quite vague in their response where you basically don't get an answer. So if you need to make plans, for example, and want to know what time they'll be home so that they can watch the children while you get to an appointment, they'll say something like soon or as soon as I finish up. They don't want to answer to anyone because in their minds, that puts you above them and they just aren't having that. Who are you to question me? Now, I talked about 12 things, but there's more odd behaviors with these people. So I'll stop at that today because otherwise I'd be writing a book. And, you know, I do these videos with this determination that one of these videos will be the video that gets you to really see who they really are and make that decision to see them to the door. It takes time. I know we've been heavily programmed. And I know that for those of you watching these types of videos, it means you are on the way to a better life because by watching videos on this subject, regardless whether they're mine or others, it's actually reprogramming you by doing this and it's strengthening you. So don't lose hope. Keep watching. You'll see. You'll get there. I am wishing you all love and light and peace, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.